Welcome to Triumphant Spirit, America's World War II Generation Speaks. This program is a series of broadcasts featuring the stories of a generation that fought and won the Second World War. No matter how they fought the war or where, on the home front or the battlefield, each veteran featured on the program contributed valiantly to a victory that changed the 20th century. Here are their stories in their own words. They are stories of actions and deeds that not only helped shape the outcome of the war, but the very world we live in today.
I came back. I joined. I said to him, well, I seen enough. I think we're at war. The guy said, well, it ain't been declared yet. I said, well, it will be, just like that. And I said, I want to join. He says, well, he gave me a piece of paper with like you gave me, or something or other, to sign. And it said on the, Army. I said, I don't want no GD Army. What are you, crazy? I said, that's enough of that. No, you gotta go Army. I said, oh, no, you're not. Oh, no, you don't. Oh, yes, you have to. I said, did you hear me? Were you deaf or something? I said, look, I think I got a right to do what I want to do. I think. I want Navy. Well, he said, rules are right. I said, do you know what you can do with them? I want Navy. Well, he said, quiet down. I said, I'll try. Because I said, look, now you're getting me, my blood pressure's going up. Look, well, I can't do what I want to do. He said, look, rules and regulation. If you belong to the Army, you go back in the Army if that's the way you want. I said, I understand that. But I don't want Army anymore. I want Navy. He said, I understand it, but the rule. I said, you just explained that. Well, by that time, I didn't want to say anymore. I just grabbed, I think, my coat. It was a little cool. And I grabbed my coat and I started heading for the door. Where you going? I said, oh, no, I'm not joining anything now. He said, I'd like to talk to you. I said, wait a minute. When I volunteered, he said, what'd you say? Oh, I said a word. You know what it was? What?
Volunteer.
Volunteer. He said, what? You volunteered? I said, yes, sir. And I said, you mean to tell me you can't volunteer for anything around here? He said, sign the paper and sit over there. That was it.
And then you were in the Navy.
In the Navy. Boot camp.
Where did you go to boot camp?
Sampson. You run and run and run and run. You do this, you do that. You get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, back to bed, then you get up 6. And you run some more, then you have your breakfast, then you run some more. And you made your own bed. They learn you a little bit of manlyhood, house care, how to keep things clean as much as possible, and learn how to get along with your buddy.
What was your first shipboard assignment after boot camp?
They shipped me to New York, Brooklyn, Navy Yard. And Brooklyn Navy Yard, this ship was just built. It was a little box car. It was like a cigar box, according to the ships. It had 2 forward guns, one in the aft, 5-inch. I finally found out it was named Alpine. That I remember. And it had the first radar we ever made. It was up on the top. Never set big screen, whatever. Went around and around. And I said, what's that? He said, radar. I said, what's radar? He said, it finds anything coming from whatever. Well, being I had a halfway decent education, I was put in the radio room to learn how to code, decode, break down, do this, do that. Through what I heard, mark it down. I found out it was a radar ship. When we went out, we would sit maybe 500,000 miles out. And anything that was coming through the waves of radio, not radar, well, radar for the, but most of it was the radio, to break down the codes of the Japs. They're sending, where they're doing and what they're doing. Well, have I got to explain to you what that is? I got transferred, and I kept going from one ship to another, to another, to another, until I went crossing, and we talked invasions. I went on different ships, each one, and a lot of them got sunk. It didn't make any difference. You got off that one if you survived, and you went on another one. And you stayed there long enough, the captain write you up anyway. So you were a member of the Navy group. So I finally found out it was a 5th Amphibious Command that I was in. 5th Amphibious Command under Admiral Nimitz. Nobody, you never know from one minute to another where you're coming or going. Because you might be in a ship and something happened. Oh, no, get your bags. Or let mine. You're going over there. Well, there'll be a ship sitting over there. That's yours. You're going over there. Because this ship is not going back there. Well, you're supposed to go back there or something. Or whatever the orders are. Because the admiral had this all, what he wanted or done, and you did it, and that's what they did.
You were wounded in battle.
I was a fighting fool.
Where were you wounded and under what circumstances?
We were just ready to go to Japan before they dropped the A-bomb. Just before that. We were all ready. And we knew that what was going on practically. We knew it was, we were going to do something, that Japan's, it was something fierce, they said. That we knew. But we didn't tell us what it was or nothing. I was in this bay. I had fought all these invasions. I had been down and off ships and all. Finally wound up, we got the, what they call them, underwater, they just blew out the coral so the ship could come in. What they call the, not Seabees, it was an organization of the Navy, and I think it come under Navy. They used to come in submarine, and they would blow up the coral. The Japs sitting over in the island heard and knew all this, but they didn't know where it was coming from and why. We were blowing up the coral because the coral is like a diamond cutting glass, or it would cut right through steel. The coral. So they blew it up and so on and so forth, so the ships could come up close enough that we could unload on the beach. Our troops or material, equipment, whatever. That was my job. That's what the boatswain does, is supervise all what goes on and off that deck. Then you make the report of what, if it's bad or good or whatever. But anyway, so we had just docked, and that we got raided, and we had just opened the hatches, and four, I think was four. I know two. I know of two, but I think they said was four. But if there was four, the other two, it must have went after the other ships. But they must have seen us, especially these two up there.
Two kamikazes?
Hold it. I have something to say, please. The thing is, they must have seen that because, you see, when the hatch is closed, it looks all the same with one piece of material. But when you take that hatch off, it leaves a black hole. And it must have been an identification of that ship because it was a Liberty. It was built, long and that, but it was loaded to the gills. Oh, tremendous. Well, anyway, that must have been an identification, the only one I can say. that he being up there, oh, ship, I gotta go. See? But he was strapped in there. But he must have been going around for to get an identification of what he can really hit of quality or whatever, you know, so it was a value. He must have seen them black holes knowing, boy, that's some ship. I'm going to get, I'm going to get. He did. So the first one we got, he went down the flame, just missed us. He went over, he went in the ocean. Well, we're going to get this one. So he came in, went around, he came in for the second, and he was just about ready to go to dive. We set the shell up at a 5-inch or whatever is on our, I think it was 5-inch. But a machine gun, it was like a blanket. Naturally, well, all the ships were loaded with 30 millimeters. And it was like a cloud. How he got through it, I don't know. Maybe he didn't, I don't know. But it was a cloud. And off went the wing. But we did see him, he had tipped already. So I think he was in the dive. But we didn't know he was strapped in or he had a 500-pound bomb. We didn't know. They said it was a 500-pound bomb. And somehow or other they identified him that as digging him out from the bottom of the hull, or the keel. He went all the way through, right down through that with the marine equipment, with their trucks and gas. That thing just blew up like a bomb, the whole ship, that whole part. I was on the deck. I had I was head of firepower. At that, I got my orders from the, I think, lieutenant commander up on the, with the captain up there. He also gave orders, you know, understand the captain really doesn't have to give all the orders. Lieutenant commanders, and that can give the orders. And he was head of firepower, I think. There is another one that's head of fire control, which if the ship gets on fire, they know what to do. The other crew know what. You know, each one had their own duty. So I was under firepower. And when he came in, he went down. I had the earphone on, I heard the orders. By that time, that was it. I don't wake up except I'm laying on the deck, and I don't know too much. But as I'm there, laying on the deck, and injured as I was, not knowing, I guess in shock, like you would say, whatever, I looked down, and you know it's funny how you remember tragedy. I never thought I'd ever seen anything like it. I'm not worried about myself. I'm looking down. Here is my pal's head with his earphones on. There he is. I don't remember much anymore, except that I said to myself, oh God, there goes my pal. And he was one of my bed, as you call bed. Now don't say that's nasty. When you say bed buddies, that meant that you were together in a bunker or no. You ate together, you talked together, you expressed your feelings, and you just loved the guy as a friend. That's why we call bed buddies. And I said, oh my God. And that's all I remember. Next thing I wake up is in Treasure Island Hospital. Well, now you see me. I was told after that, when I got put back together, I didn't know I was a part, but I got put back together. They said, well, Mr. Woolsey, you can go home now if you want to. I said to myself, well, you got a hell of a nerve to tell me if I want it. But I'm going home, I want it. Well, he said, I want you to take care of yourself, because he said, if I was you, you only got about 6 months. He said, but you got to take care of yourself. How about that, buddy? And now they one of these staunch doctors, ones that you could rely on. And Well, I used to play piano when I got in the rec hall when, I was getting around to be ready to go home. And I'd go in the rec room and play the piano, and he loved it. And we got buddies there that he'd sit there, he'd say, oh boy, you're going to do all right. But he felt the pity that I wasn't going to live that long, I had 6 months to live. And here I am, what, 100 and going for 103? It's unreal. I don't believe it.
James.
Well, that's what the doctors say. I don't believe it. I remember carpenter coming in, ripping up floors. What's that? We're going to run electricity.
Okay, we got to watch the time.
Well, we had a kerosene lamp. We didn't have gas. So we didn't have electricity. They had no telephone. They were talking about it, but that's it. But you had to be a lot of money. And in those days, a dollar bill was $10 or $100 or what. But anyway, to make long story short, from 1900 to into the early 20s, everybody really did not have the pleasure of knowing all these luxuries that was coming about, which were telephone, electricity, gas.
You got to capture that. Are you capturing
No,
that? Yeah. Okay.
no, you didn't have it. You had to be rich or or something, because your house had to be ripped apart because it went under the floorboards, across the beams. There was a Bakelite thing that came down. It had 2 nails or something like that. There was a Bakelite thing on the bottom. And it would be 2 of them, one over there and one over there on that beam. Electricity, I think, was the first thing that ever came about, I think. That eliminated your kerosene lamps. Then came the gas, I guess, yeah. Then they started digging up streets, cobblestone streets, dirt streets, whatever. We didn't have all that. Highways, but anyway, then come your gas, and that was about it. Coming after the electricity, it didn't come before; it came after. That was extreme luxury. Then all of a sudden, telephone came in. Then they started putting telegraph poles up, not beelines and so on through your yard, which you didn't have telegraph poles. Then they finally, the city would have to have ordinances to dig and put these poles down through streets so and so because of zoning and blah, 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 all of, well, anyway, that's the way it started. Then your telegraph pole went up. Then one part would have telephone, the other part would have the electric. And it wasn't until I think the late 20s, they found out that they didn't have to have 2 like that separated. It would come into a cable, like wire. So it would be the late 20s, going to early 30s before any of this.
All that stuff, late 20s.
Oh, yeah, don't let them tell you anything different.
James, during the war you wrote USO Boogie
Yes.
for Glenn Miller. Could you tell us about this amazing accomplishment?
Plan. Oh boy. Stars and strength, oh boy. Yes, sir. Don't call me yes, sir. I said, well, uh-oh. All right, I won't call me. He said, I want to talk to you. He said, your name James Woolsey? I said, yeah. All right. Took a table, told him scatter. Boy, did they run. Afraid of the general. I ain't. What the hell am I? He's only another individual. To me, as far as I could, he'd go to places as far as I concerned. Anyway, I sat down with him. He said, you play quite a mean piano. Oh? Well, he said, I haven't got much time, he said, so I'm not going to waste it. I was going to say, well, the hell with you then. But anyway, I sat with him. He said, you arrange music? I said, yes, sir. do you think you'd write up a score for a boogie woogie? I said, what the devil is that? He said, well, I don't know it myself. I was going to say, well, what kind of a... He looks familiar to me. No, anyway, I figured, well, boogie woogie. I don't know. He said, wait a minute. He gets up. He looked, oh, there's a piano, he said. I walked over, here's a piano. He said, I'm not a musician. Listen to this. I'm not a musician. I said, well, all right, well. But he said, I'll try and demonstrate about what I want. I said, all right. He said, well, the way I get it, the bass is really the thing. You'll have to work it out. The treble, which is the right hand. To music is right hand, treble. Bass is the left hand. I want everybody on there to know that. All right. And that's for you kids. Now, he said, there is two ways of doing this. I've heard it. I said, all right. He said, well, so on and so forth. Do you get it? I said, oh, yeah. And he said, it goes something like a, and or something, let me say, no. Well, he said, you know thirds? I said, yeah. 1, 2, or, yeah, well, never mind, he said, but you figure that one out. But he said, the bass is the rough one. I said, well, I'll keep in mind, but what? Well, he said, if you will write it, will you? I said, yeah, but I don't like that. I said, why? That sounds almost like a march. Well, he said, there is what we call a walking. It sounds like you're walking up the key. Oh, I said something like this. Yeah. Oh, go. Yeah. All right, that's enough. You work it out. I want the thirds. How soon can you write up a score?
Fantastic.
I hope the pianos get together.
Fantastic.
I'm expecting you piano to
Don't
fall
tell
apart.
me.